All right, so for many of you, this is like the most anticipated unit in this course because you're really wondering if you're not on Upwork where you're going to find clients. So not to worry, there are many ways to find clients. This is sort of what I consider your marketing ecosystem, all the things you need to have in place. We already talked about optimizing your website at the top of this course because that's something that I think everybody needs to do and it will help you both on and off of Upwork. But that is definitely step one and will support everything else. So make sure that your website is optimized. The other things that you will do, look out for professional directories and submit yourself to them. Focus on networking and relationship building. Depending on where you are, there may be a local business niche that you can tap into. And then other things we can do to support sort of driving traffic to your website is Google and SEO, and also where social media fits in and how we can use it to sort of bolster traffic to your website. So first off, we have professional directories. I divided these into sort of what I consider freelancer markets versus straight directories. In the markets category, we have Dribble and Behance. These ones sort of work more like a marketplace. They have more of a portfolio aspect to them. You may have noticed on Upwork, you can like add a Behance link to Upwork. So it's something that many of your clients, those kinds of people who might be searching on Upwork, it's something they're probably used to seeing. So I definitely recommend that you do submit your work to both of those sites. The other thing that might be useful to some of you is Creative Market. So if you have any sort of productized services, like for me, I'm a website designer, I do also have some website templates. Making sure those templates or products are on something like Creative Market can just sort of help with your searchability. So someone might actually find you on Creative Market and then come check out your website and end up, wanting to book a service instead. It's just an outlet I recommend that you take advantage of if you do have a productized service or something that can be a good fit for a Creative Market. On the other side, we have straight directories. Creative Lady Directory is a great one for women freelancers. We also have Outsourcing with Love, Contra, and I Love Creatives. The links for all of these will be below, but definitely consider submitting your profile to them. And then one other tip is making sure that you keep it up to date. So something you can do is update it about every 6 months or so. I know at least with the Creative Lady Directory in particular, this makes sure that your profile sort of stays towards the top of, everybody else's. So network marketing or relationship building, the first part of this, I always actually consider to be part of your client process. We want to make sure that you're getting client referrals from past clients. And the best way to do this is really to make sure that your end of project experience is really optimized. Even if everything goes really well, if the handoff is sort of, clunky, and if your client feels like they don't have quite everything that they need when they're done working with you, that end of project experience will sort of color their desire to refer people to you when something comes up. So definitely make sure that you have a good process for handing off work to clients, that you make sure that everything is resolved, that they're feeling good. And then you can also let them know how to refer clients to you. So in part of that, sign off email, it was so great working with you. I'm glad everything went well. So you've checked on all of that. Make sure that you let them know. I am always open to referrals. If you find somebody that may be in need of services like mine, don't hesitate to have them reach me. And then the other part of this is it's always good to have a how did you hear about me field on your inquiry form. And if somebody reaches out to you another way, just always follow up and ask about, how did you hear about me? Because you'll find some clients refer a lot of people to you. And you also might find that you're getting referrals elsewhere. So this might lead us to the adjacent professionals. These are people who are also freelancers and service providers that provide a complementary service. So for me as a website designer, graphic designers, brand strategists, and copywriters are sort of my adjacent professionals. So get to know other professionals in those spaces. Look at who's being recommended in Facebook groups. If there's somebody like big sources of referrals for me are people who run boot camps. So I know somebody who runs a branding and copywriting boot camp. When they're not subscribers, consumers, they're students, I guess. It's sort of like a boot camp, an online course. Once they're done, they have their brand strategy and they have their copy and they're ready to build a website. So sort of reaching out to them and creating special packages really sort of creates a pipeline of potential clients for me. Build relationships. You have the option of offering a kickback. So for me, what I usually do is I reach out to people and I let them know I'd be happy to create a discount code for your people, or to offer you a kickback. So for me, it's 10%. They can choose to either pocket that 10% for themselves through affiliate tracking, or they can get a coupon code so they can actually pay that sort of gift forward to their customer base. So network marketing, really reaching out to other people and building relationships. If you find out somebody is referring you, I've had this happen several times where I get a referral from somebody and I'm like, I don't know that person. So I always reach out and I say, thank you for the referral. I'd love to connect and see how we can support each other. Get on a Zoom call, make sure you know those people, because those relationships can be really pivotal in securing like a stream of referrals. Tapping into local business can be huge depending on where you are. So for me, I'm in Connecticut, small state. A lot of businesses that are based in Connecticut like to work with freelancers that are also based in Connecticut. So, tapping those opportunities is important. Local outreach, you may be able to find, certain people, if you're looking that they, like for me, for the websites, I know they have a strong business, but you go to their website, it doesn't seem like it's up to date. It's outdated. It's, built on an old framework. Don't be afraid to send an email like, hey, I love you guys. I've been to your restaurant. I did notice your website is kind of out of date. Just want to let you know that I am a website designer and you can take a look at these packages. Don't be afraid to send out cold outreach. The other thing you can look at is agencies in your area. You may find that there are like branding agencies or marketing agencies. Reaching out to them and just letting them know that you're open to collaboration. Another big one is nonprofit and small business resource centers. So these exist whether you're in a small town, so like a regional one, or there's tons in like New York City, for instance. Reaching out if you're, if you need the work and are open to it, being like, look, I'm willing to make websites for your nonprofits at a discounted rate. Just sort of cultivating those opportunities and reaching out to people and seeing what's available. And the nice thing about these things is they tend to lead to more business right away. So for me, with Connecticut-based businesses, a lot of times I build websites for either nonprofits or sort of clubs, and then it turns out so-and-so is on the board, but they're also on the board of this other organization. It just turns into more work. So these tend to be more referral generating projects. So now we're going to get into sort of the garnering online traction through your website. I want to talk about profile management. So when I think about social media, I don't think anybody should really be wasting their time trying to like go viral on TikTok to gain clients. It's just not a good strategy. It's not reliable. Like some people might have some success, but it's not something that everyone can count on. But what I do think is important when it comes to social media is having a baseline presence and making sure that your profiles are optimized, because all of those profiles are sort of going to create links that will talk to each other and refer traffic back to your website, and Google will, think that means that you've got some authority. So your Instagram profile, making sure that's optimized. I have a cheat sheet for that you can download below. The big thing there is that the title to your Instagram account is searchable. So making sure it's not just your name, but what you do is important there. Your personal Facebook page, a lot of people I find tend to not want to broadcast what they do publicly to their friends and family necessarily because they want to keep their business separate, but you never know where your referrals are going to come from. It can be your friends and your family. So make sure your Facebook page mentions everything. There are links that you share about your business there. Have a Facebook business page. Make sure your Pinterest profile, if you have one, and your YouTube profile are also optimized, and make sure that all of these things send links back to your website. LinkedIn can be a great source for freelancers. The big thing here is you want to make sure you have a complete profile. So when it sort of gives you that percentage of how far along your profile is, make sure you get it to 100%, fill out all of the things, because that is part of LinkedIn's algorithm. They will serve complete profiles to other people when they're searching over incomplete profiles. Make sure you share examples of your work there, and then grow your connections, because that's the other part of LinkedIn's algorithm is the more connections you have, the more reach you have, because they'll basically do the completeness of your profile. the relevancy, and then also if you have a connection to somebody within, like you have a similar connection to somebody, you'll be served to them as an option when they're searching. So LinkedIn is definitely something not to overlook, even if you're a freelancer. I know a lot of us think not to bother with it, but it can be a useful source of referrals. Google Tools. So these are two. I also have guides for these that I'll link below. The Google Business Profile and the Google Search Console. These are two things that you want to take advantage of. They basically help Google. You get to tell Google what you're about. So that way they know, when to serve your business up in a search. So the things that we're focusing on across all three of these areas are keywords. So these are things you also want on your website. You want to make sure the keywords, that's who you search, like what you do and who you do it for. Those long tail keywords are across all of these things. Again, this is getting to that niche. You want to make sure that you're not just a website designer, but you're a website designer for coaches. So make sure your niche is in there. And then all of these things, this is not imperative, but it is, a nice touch, making sure branding is consistent throughout all of these things, because it will just sort of reinforce your professional feel to clients. All right, so Facebook groups. So this is one of the areas where I do find it's useful to participate in social media. These are a few: the Freelancer group, Freelancers community, Freelancing Females, Creative Lady Directory, Women in Marketing, and then niche groups. So for me, I work with a lot of coaches, health coaches in particular. I'm in a lot of health coach groups, because that way, when somebody says, I'm trying to do this on my website, I don't know how, I'm in there and I know how to tell them. And then, like I said, that niche continues to be important, whether it's on your website or in your profiles, because it tells people that you're going to be able to help them specifically. A website designer can help tons of different people. So if I'm a health coach, I'm looking for help on my website. Am I going to hire the website designer that mostly does corporate sites? Or am I going to hire the website designer that mostly works with health coaches? I'm probably going to do the one that works with health coaches. So again, focusing on that niching, knowing that niche groups sort of their problems. Like I know, for instance, what a health coach typically needs on their website, sort of their basic online business processes. So I can help with all of those things. If you're a copywriter, if you're writing copy for, again, like a medical office versus a life coach, probably going to be different types of copy. So just being able to focus on a certain group and be able to demonstrate that you know their core issues and how to help them is really important, and can be especially important in these Facebook groups. I recommend setting an alert on your phone or putting it in your calendar just to go into the Facebook groups 3 times a week. Go in, spend 30 minutes a piece, just answering questions. And the nice thing about Facebook groups is they are searchable. So I've had people who find me months after I posted something, because they're like, oh, I was searching for this in the Facebook group and I saw that you reply, that you do websites, blah, blah, blah. So definitely don't neglect these things. It's not as flashy as trying to post a reel and becoming viral, but I find it has better payoff. So focus on the groups. Other ways to boost SEO. For those of you who are less familiar with SEO, it is search engine optimization. And this is basically making sure that search engines like Google can find your website, know what your content is about, and then basically bring you up in searches when somebody searches for something related to your content. I have SEO guides below for your website, but the big things are the website title. So don't have your title like my business is Kara & Co Creative. My website title is not Kara & Co Creative. It's websites for women coaches and entrepreneurs. So that's something you want to think of something that somebody is searching for. What is something that somebody would search for that would lead them to your service? If you are a graphic designer who specializes in logos, you want to do sort of that logo design and then for who your niche group is. And that would be your website title. On-page SEO, again, identifying those keywords, things that people would search to bring them to you. And then make sure that some of those keywords are in the actual text on the page of your website. Metadata. So this is in my SEO guide. There are resources for Squarespace. Squarespace has a really great SEO guide that will be linked in there. WordPress, there's also different places where you can add in your metadata on WordPress. So, sorry, my dog has come to visit. You see him back there. All right, so the metadata, you want to take advantage of putting in those keywords in those places because it will just make you more searchable and more easily come up on Google searches. Images, make sure whenever you add an image, you actually title it. Don't have it be like IMG underscore 547. Give it a title because images are also searchable, and that will come up in the image searches. Another great way to keep your SEO on your website up to date is updating content. So the easiest way to update content is through blog posts. That's why you see almost everybody has a blog section these days. Don't bother with it if you're not going to do it, but if serving up some content is something that seems like you would want to do, then blog posts can be a great way to sort of keep your website relevant and make sure that Google keeps on crawling the content. The other part of search engine optimization are platforms that I call search engine social. So search engine socials are Pinterest and YouTube. These two platforms are actually search engines because people can type into them and generate and like pull up a search content. So if you're using Pinterest and YouTube, make sure that you're also optimizing your captions. Your captions should be using those keywords on both of those platforms. YouTube is especially great. Link back to your website in all of your posts. So if you're somebody who actually can like create tutorials or things like that related to the kind of work you do, it's a really great way to boost your search engine optimization. Excuse me. The other thing to do is look to generate links. So an easy way to do this is to write guest posts, reach out to people. If this is something that you feel like you can do, reach out to people, suggest a post for their website, and ask that, when they post that post, that they link back to your website. Reach out to partners. So if you have a relationship with somebody where you refer clients back and forth, ask them if they'll post a link to your website on their site. So I have a link to partners on my About page. So that link back to your website will reinforce your authority to Google and other search engines. Other things you can do, reach out to podcasts because typically they'll have a link to your website in their show notes. Anything you can think of that would make sense. You don't want to be spammy about it, but anything you can think of that would contribute value and provide a link back to your site is great for boosting SEO. All right. And then here's the big question, the role of social media. Should you be spending your time on social media? My take is, unless you're really ready to, sink a bunch of ad money into social media, and by the way, if you're going to do that, I suggest you start with, Google keywords and doing like search engine ads, SEM, I forget what it stands for exactly right now. That is a bigger return on investment. I don't think you should be spending your time creating 2 posts a day on Instagram because it's just not going to have the same return on investment. When you spend your time on Upwork, those people have purchase intent. They are in that place because they're looking to hire somebody. People don't necessarily go to Instagram to hire a freelancer. So it's not a place you want to invest a ton of time in. That said, it can reinforce your authority. So if people come to your website and they want to sort of learn more about you, a lot of times what they will do is go and click on your Instagram profile, sometimes your Facebook, depending on sort of their age and what platform they're using the most. And then they'll sort of look at your posts there. So I do suggest, if you have the time, it is not a top priority at all, but if you have the time, I do suggest maybe creating 2 or 3 posts a week of really top-notch content that looks polished in your feed. So that way, if somebody does come to your Facebook profile or your Instagram profile, they're going to see nice posts that sort of reinforce your authority. The other thing there is then if you eventually do run ads, sometimes people, instead of clicking on the ad link, they'll actually go to the profile that generated the ads. And then instead of seeing something that's blank or doesn't really impress them, they're going to see some content. So the role of social media is really to reinforce your other efforts. I don't think it should be driving your marketing plan, just because the return on investment it's just not there, especially not with organic traffic. All right, so this is the overview of everything we've gone over in this lesson. I know we covered a lot of ground in this sort of tutorial here in this one unit. So this is an overview. Directories, you want to go to those links in that first unit and you want to create profiles. Networking. First, be mindful of your client's experience, especially their end of project experience. Encourage referrals. Let them know how to refer clients to you. And then reach out to adjacent professionals. For any of them, you do have the option of offering a kickback. Most clients will be very happy to refer you to other people if they had a great experience, even without a kickback. Adjacent professionals, what I've typically found is some of them really do like that little kickback, and it makes them more consistent in just referring to you instead of somebody else. Others really do actually love to pay that forward to their customers. They love to be able to be like, as an added bonus, come work with me, and then I can also get you 10% off website design. So that's an option. Just keep it in mind. Local business, depending on where you are, reaching out to businesses in the area and pitching yourself is a great option. It's really just try to think about it like pitching on Upwork. When you go through the job postings and you put something out there, it's really a cold outreach. Like, yes, they're looking, but it's a cold outreach. So just think of this the same way, even if it's maybe a little bit more personal to you. But just, it doesn't hurt to reach out. And like I said, local businesses tend to generate more referral opportunities. And don't forget to look out for agencies and sort of resource centers for businesses, like small business resource centers, because they'll have that sort of pool of people who might be looking for services. Again, we're really going to be focused on Google and SEO for just sort of optimizing traffic to your website. Take advantage of those Google tools. There are the guides below this video so that you can follow the steps to do the Google Search Console and the Google Business Profile. Optimize your website SEO. Again, there is a guide there with resources for both Squarespace and WordPress websites. If you do not have a Squarespace or WordPress website, the guidance in there roughly applies to any other kind of website. And then, just be mindful of every opportunity you have to create links back to your website is really great for your SEO. And again, the social media, optimize your profiles, but do not focus on trying to create viral content. It's a waste of time, in my opinion. So make sure profiles are optimized. Don't neglect LinkedIn as a source of work for a freelancer. Showcase your work wherever you can, including your Facebook personal page. And if you're going to really focus on generating content on social media, focus on those search engine socials. That's YouTube and Pinterest. All right. So again, a very quick and broad overview of all of the things you can do to make sure that you're finding clients outside of Upwork. And don't forget to dive into the additional resource guides, because that's where you can really follow through and get the guidance on how to set up some of these things. Next, I don't want you to get off of Upwork completely, because it can be a great source of clients. And we're going to talk about how you can maybe take those clients off of Upwork, if that's possible or not.